Hello, I'm Catherine Warren, and we're back for another mayoral update with none other than Telluride Mayor DeLanie Young. Hi, DeLanie.
Hi, Catherine.
We are here at the Telluride Historical Museum. It's the first day that they've opened since shutting down in March due to, that little global pandemic that we're all facing right now. And we've decided to film each mayoral update at different historic landmarks in town. DeLanie, can you tell the viewers a little bit about how great the museum is and how much we love it?
I love the museum. I live very close to the museum, so I get to walk by it all the time. And as you can see and hear, we are outside.
Yes.
It was a very warm day, and we thought it would be nice to get a little fresh air and not have to wear our masks while we're 6 feet apart. The museum is one of the treasures of Telluride, and I am so glad that they have been able to reopen, even if it is on a limited basis. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of programming that they're offering. They're working on virtual programming as well, and I highly encourage people to go to their website and look up what programs are offered.
Ooh,
and
there
goes a mask blowing away. And to make an appointment to come visit the museum if you're in town or if you're coming to town, and also to remember that you can get a membership to the museum, and it helps them keep things going and keeping their programs running and paying their employees who all live here, which is a very important piece too. And we thank Kieran Lannon, the executive director of the museum, for letting us be on the property today to do the mayoral update.
Yes, so thank you, Telluride Museum, and also give them a follow on social media because they have amazing historic photos of Telluride and the whole region, fun facts, trivia. It's really, maybe it's because I've had a little bit more time on my hands to pay attention to social media, but I've really enjoyed their historic content.
And they actually had an interview on Kodo yesterday or the day before. They are a Smithsonian affiliated museum, which is a very, very big deal.
That's huge.
And maybe that will draw even more people into being interested in looking them up.
Yes. You go to DC, you see the Smithsonian's there. You come here, you see our Smithsonian affiliate.
That's right.
So this week, you guys had your, June regular meeting, June 30th, and it was a long one. Lots to be discussed.
Yes, that was our regular meeting. We had one on June 2nd and this one on June 30th, and it was on the books since November when we set our calendar. Mm-hmm. And if you hear our lonely friend next door in the background, there is a puppy next door who wants to be a part of the interview. Apologize if...
Sounds like a very sad hound dog.
Yes, but he's fine.
Yes.
I guarantee you.
So, Telluride Town Council, of course, your meeting, you gave the state of the town, and obviously you don't need to repeat it here. Folks can listen to it on the Town of Telluride's website if they'd like to hear your eloquent words. But what's the background behind the state of the town, and how often do you guys do it, and what was sort of your nutshell wrap-up of the state of the town?
The State of the Town address is given by the mayor twice a year. It happens in December and again in June. And this one was, as you may expect, quite COVID heavy. Mm-hmm. 6 months have gone by since the last State of the Town address, and a lot has happened in 6 months, but the bulk of that has all revolved around the pandemic. Mm-hmm. The nutshell version of my State of the Town address was to call attention to our amazing staff, and I do this probably at every mayoral update. That being said, we have thrown so much work at our staff over the last couple of months to get COVID-related expansion possibilities enacted and set up for the community, for locals and visitors, but for the businesses, even more importantly, to help them to achieve a better economic state over this summer. That's our hope anyway.
Yeah.
And also, there were a few key words, and I say these a lot too: gratitude, patience, and kindness. And I think the more we remind people that we are all, every single one of us, affected by this pandemic in some way. Mm-hmm. Very different ways for a lot of us, but in some way, all of us are affected. And we need to remember that, and we need to focus on the good things. And so one of the highlights of my State of the Town address was the incredible generosity we have been witnessing. The volunteers who are donating thousands of hours to help others in the community, and the large donations that we have been seeing throughout the community, not just in Telluride, but in the county and in surrounding areas and in the Mountain Village. Residents are being helped with food, they're being helped with housing costs, they're being helped with mental health costs. It's just astounding to me how generous people have been. And I think if we focus on those good things, it's going to help us get through this even better.
Yeah. Well, should we just end it there, DeLanie? That was so well said. Just kidding. There's plenty to talk about. On that note, Telluride Town Council voted to extend the mask ordinance. What is the feedback you've received since that was put in place? Whenever that was? Was that a month ago? There's no sense of time these days.
It's hard.
Since it was put in place, was there feedback, and can you speak to the extension of the mask ordinance?
I definitely can speak to that. We heard the mask ordinance discussion yesterday because until now we have been giving it, 2 to 4 weeks of a time frame. Any of the emergency ordinances we have passed, we have done our best to have an expiry date on them, or to at least tie them to the county and or state health orders. We don't want to have onerous rules in place if they aren't necessary. This time, due to the climate in the country and knowing that we also get some international visitors, if they are in fact allowed to come and then return home, I don't know that since we're now shut down from going to the EU as US citizens. So we had to hear it, otherwise it would have expired yesterday. And we had a discussion. We did extend it. This time we put a little more time on it. It will expire on August 25th, which is our second regular meeting in August.
Okay.
Unless we are fortunate enough to see this all disappear.
Wouldn't that be great?
Or if we need to alter it in some way, we could also do that.
Okay.
There were 2 additions to that mask ordinance, and one of them was the expiry date. The other one was to add an additional exception, because we do have exceptions. If you are medically impaired and cannot wear a mask for medical reasons, you are exempt. If you work alone in an office and public is not coming in and out, and you're in an indoor space, but you're alone, you don't have to wear one. There's a few others. We added the restaurant exception last month, when last time I should say, when the restaurants were opening up. And then we added bars as an exception, and ironically, during our meeting, the governor shut bars down again.
Yes, I saw that tweet as I was tuning into the meeting.
However, for the watching audience, the clause in the state order is that if bars are still functioning like a restaurant, meaning they're actually serving food, ooh, there goes my mask, that they can still operate. But the other thing that people really need to remember, and this is for restaurants and bars, you still have to maintain certain parameters. For example, you cannot have more than 50% of your normal capacity. You have to maintain 6 feet of social distancing between your groups. You're not supposed to be mingling with people willy-nilly.
Which is what people want to do at bars.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately.
So, we do have some bars in town that are, I believe, I don't know definitively, we'll find out this week. I think they are still open because they are offering food for sale as well. And in that case, if you are sitting and eating and having a beverage, you can remove your mask.
Yes, yes. And just last week before the governor's order came in, I had drinks at the Liberty on Friday after work, and they've completely redone their furniture. It looks fabulous in there. It's obviously not going to be a packed music venue this year, but their adaptations work really well. We at our table, our zone, had a few drinks, put our masks on to make an order, go to the restroom, and then went home. And it works. But I definitely understand the governor's concerns about mingling. And the more drinks you purchase, the less likely you are to follow the rules.
Yes. And, one of the other things, to go back to the State of the Town address, and I didn't specifically call out face coverings or masks, but in relating it to the mask ordinance, we know that not everyone agrees with things that are happening. They may not agree with a law that gets put into place. They may not agree with how something is approached. We aren't all going to agree on everything. That is just the way it is. If everyone can just remember that for the common good and for the bulk of the people, when you look at the bigger, larger community, rules are put into place to protect the most vulnerable among us. And to tell people that they just have to stay home because they're vulnerable, put yourself in their shoes.
Tough. Yeah.
So going out and being able to be around your friends for a little while, even if you're 6 feet apart, and even if you have to wear a mask when you get up to use the restroom, having those human contacts is so important.
So important.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Even people who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
They need to go out as well on occasion.
Yeah.
Soapbox, I'm off.
You sure?
For now.
So that's extended through August 25th. Of course, I'm going to put my Mountain Village hat on for a moment. Mountain Village has an indoor mask ordinance. We also have masks. We require and request that folks wear their masks in the Market on the Plaza. And it really, of course, we're going to hear the squeaky, grumpy wheel, but it really has gone quite well, I believe. And also, wearing masks in any indoor or any public transportation. So it's so tempting to take the mask off when you get on the gondola, but it helps the gondola stay open and clean and healthy for us all. Hopefully no shutdowns.
And that was a good point to talk about Mountain Village, because we are in our community doing our best if we have similar rules, and we're doing our best to have similar rules and similar messaging, because the more congruent messaging that we have with each other, the easier it's going to be for everyone to remember. Not only for locals, but even more importantly, visitors who come in, because if everything is different, it gets difficult. And so ours is the same. If you are in an indoor public space, that's when you need to be wearing your mask. Obviously, bars and restaurants, once you're seated, you can remove them. Also, at our farmers market in town and any of our street vendors, you're supposed to wear your mask when you're there.
Because you're in close contact with folks as you're purchasing items.
And with food items.
Yeah. Anything else to say or note on the mask topic?
May have gotten a little heated at one point yesterday, and we have definitely heard from dozens of members of the public who were not very thrilled or impressed with the animosity, maybe, I guess is a good word, that was shown at that meeting. There was thought about extending that mask ordinance to be outside for if you cannot maintain that 6-foot distance, and not as a requirement, just as a recommendation, because
that's something I personally do or adhere to.
I do as well. And we wanted the ordinance to remain in place, and because we had to have an extraordinary majority, meaning 5 of 7 council members, and we only had 5 present council members, we had to have everyone vote in favor of that. And even though it seemed like that's where we were headed, we got thrown in a loop at the last minute and it didn't pass. So we had a second motion made so that we could get the ordinance. That's right.
Yes.
But there definitely was a bit of backlash last night and today about that. And we will see what our next round of public comment looks like.
Well, that's the beauty of local government. You participate, you tune in, you listen, and you share your thoughts with your elected officials, whether you agree with them or not, but just say it nicely, right?
And thank you for that plug. One of my fellow council members, I said, what do you want me to bring up at the mayoral update? And they said, please encourage people to get involved. Please get involved with your local government. We need to know what you're thinking because this is all about you. We're just trying to do our jobs as best we can, and we need public input in order to make the best decisions possible for the largest number of people.
Yeah. It's very easy, just going to do another little plug there. It's very easy to sign up for email notifications for both Town of Telluride meetings and Mountain Village meetings. And it's before I started working in government, perhaps it's because of my journalism background, but it's quite easy to tune in if you choose to. And I highly recommend it because this is where decisions are made that affect us directly. And hopefully keep us healthy and safe.
Yes.
I wanted to go over something we didn't have a chance to talk about it in the last update, but I think because it was coming up and we had too much to talk about. But since mid-June, Town Council has been working, or the Town of Telluride, you guys extended you modified your liquor law so that folks can consume alcohol. Let me rephrase that. Would you like to tell me more about what Town Council decided to do in regards to Main Street and, downtown dining and liquor consumption?
Absolutely. It's been an interesting ride because we have to watch what the state is doing on sometimes a daily basis. We were poised to expand in some way the liquor licensing capabilities for businesses that serve alcohol, and we ran into a bit of a stalemate waiting for the state to really come up with what they wanted the overall rules to look like. We finally got to that point, and ultimately what we as the town council directed staff to do and then voted on a resolution was to relax our open container laws. We established, if you haven't seen it yet, down on Colorado Avenue, there's a bunch of fences that, everybody just loves them, by the way. We have put fences up down there, and we have outdoor dining areas, and we also have some retail areas for stores to spill out and have more opportunity to sell their wares, and it's being utilized pretty well so far. And we allowed takeout alcohol from restaurant and bar establishments. You can, as a customer, go into a restaurant or a bar and you can order takeout alcohol. With that purchase, you must have purchased food.
Okay.
You can then
Which isn't a bad idea.
No, not at all. You then take your purchase out you can either take it home if you want, or you can take it out to the outdoor dining areas. We also included the pocket parks, such as Elks Park or North Oak Street Park. And you can go and sit at a table. When you get your alcohol, it is in a container with a lid. It is sealed in some way. Could be a bottle of wine, whatever. And you are not supposed to be just walking around drinking it. You are supposed to take it home, or you are supposed to go to the designated area and sit down. We did not include liquor store purchases. It's not BYOB.
Right.
So
it's support our businesses and help them survive.
So if you're thinking of going to the liquor store and buying a 6-pack and going and sitting at the table, that's a no-no.
There's some other places you can enjoy that, but that's for a different platform. No.
So the restaurants, the establishments that are doing this have to have it in a container with a lid sealed. And then there's also a warning label of sorts on the cup just to explain it. We contemplated various avenues to do this, and a lot of them were just very complicated, and this seemed to work out, I don't want to necessarily say the most easily, because it has been an unbelievable amount of work for the town staff, and I'm sure for the businesses as well. It just seemed like it would flow the best and be the most equitable for everyone.
And you could implement it quite quickly, unlike the common consumption area up in Mountain Village that took months to set up in place.
Correct.
So,
and the off Colorado Avenue businesses, in lieu of doing that, they're still able to do that. If you want to go to any, I'm not going to plug, I try not to plug specific businesses. If you want to go somewhere off Colorado Avenue and order takeout food and beverages, you can definitely bring them to those outdoor dining locations. However, those establishments off Colorado Avenue have been given the opportunity, and many have taken advantage of the opportunity to expand their business licenses out onto the adjacent sidewalks.
Okay.
And then the town has provided fencing to alter the course for pedestrians to go around.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say that adaptability that we've all been taught and we've all put into practice in the last 4, 3, 5 months?
3,
whatever.
I think.
The last several months.
April, May, June, 3.5.
Okay, so that's what was throwing me off
It's
there.
math. Oh.
The amount of adaptation that's happened in this small amount of time is very impressive, knowing how long things can sometimes take in the government world. So
Yes.
we're making lemonade out of lemons.
We are. And some people are adding a little vodka.
Yes, and you can do that now from a liquor licensed establishment. That covers it for COVID things, but I have another thing I saw or heard on the agenda that I wanted to bring up. Town of Telluride has a lot of commissions and boards that the general public can volunteer their time to be involved with. And you guys went over several of the open seats that are coming up, and you appointed a few seats as well. Can
We
you
did.
speak to that very quickly, or what sort of boards they are? And
Yes. Every one of our regular meetings, we announce any present or upcoming vacancies on our many boards and commissions. We have a few that always seem to have seats available. It's just the nature of the beast. The Board of Adjustment and Appeals is one of those, the Ethics Commission, the Election Commission. Catherine's on that one.
I'm also on the Ethics Commission as a case member.
Well, there you go. Catherine is on a lot of our boards and commissions. And some of those don't meet.
Right.
They just don't meet, which is a good thing. We do not want the Election Commission to have to meet, because that means that something happened that was not good during an election. We have others, Parks and Rec Commission, Planning and Zoning Commission. Those two boards in particular, we did announce vacancies coming up. We also, I'm trying to think of another one.
Public Art Commission.
Public Art Commission does still have, I believe, one alternate and one regular empty seat.
Okay.
We did reappoint 2 incumbents yesterday that already were serving on that commission, and thank you very much, Lee Shea and Chris, for doing that. And we had a new applicant for P&Z for an alternate seat. And it's one of the 2 commissions that are a little more involved and a little harder, honestly. Lots and lots of learning to be done, land use code, design guidelines. And it was very refreshing to have someone from a younger demographic to step up and want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be a really great addition to that board. And thank you for doing that, Dan.
And Dan has been calling into the Zoom meetings as well.
Yes.
So
He's been very involved lately.
Yeah.
That's great.
my Public Arts Commission seat is up in July, and I'm still on the fence about that commitment, but we'll get there later.
Well, and the Public Arts Commission is one of those that only meets as needed.
Yeah.
And it's only when there's art proposed for town property.
Right.
And I think people who are really, really involved and interested in art for art's sake are being represented on that committee, and it's great.
Yeah. And to learn about these open seats, I've seen ads in the Daily Planet, but you can also go to Town of Telluride's website, and it's quite easy to apply, and Town Council considers your application and you make appointments. So just want to put that plug in. I was it was a lot of appointments or a lot of open seats discussed in one meeting. So
There were a lot, and Catherine and I actually had our Zoom meeting today for the CASE board, which is the Commission for Community Assistance, Arts, and Special Events. I always have to count it off on my fingers. CCAASE. And it was a very interesting meeting. Most of our boards and commissions, if not all, have resumed meetings through the virtual platforms, and they seem to be going really well. Part of my State of the Town address was, of course, all of us want to be back in the room together. We want to be in the room where it happened. And it's just hard.
Yeah.
That human contact is really vital, and we hope to be back there sometime soon.
yeah. Well, that's it for me, DeLanie, unless you have anything else to add.
I probably would be remiss if I did not just do my normal plugs. COVID-related information, go to the San Miguel County website. It is sanmiguelcountyco.gov/coronavirus. They have done another update to the dashboard with even more helpful information.
That's
you
great.
can find information from the state, from the CDC. There are links on their page. You can also find links to helpful resources for health, mental health, food assistance, and you can also find information about small business assistance and other financial things.
I probably go to that URL 2 or 3 times a day.
Me too.
Finding information. And through that website, you can sign up for the email alerts when notices go out or the press releases go out as COVID positive cases come in. That's the quickest way to be in the know on that information.
And I would say, please, everybody have a very happy and safe 4th of July.
Yes.
Be careful. Be kind to each other.
And no personal fireworks. Fire ban starts on Thursday.
That's right.
Thanks so much, DeLanie, and thanks to
you,
Telluride
Catherine.
TV, and thank you to the Telluride Historical Museum for having us.
Thank you.